So there are many factors that affect and regulate our intake of food, sex, and drugs. But let's talk about two categories that regulate food, sex, and drugs. The first are biological factors. Now, biological factors regulate food, sex, and drugs include hormones. The brain regulates each of these drives by controlling them automatically and unconsciously. At the same time, our conscious choices and desires play a role in how we express these needs, and these are what we call our sociocultural factors. Okay, so let's take a look at the biological and sociocultural factors that regulate food. So when we're hungry, the lateral hypothalamus, right here in the yellow, signals to the stomach that we start eating through positive feedback mechanism. On the other hand, when we're full, the ventromedial hypothalamus, over here in the turquoise, is going to signal for us to stop eating. It's on how responsive we are to either visual or tactile stimuli. Other sociocultural factors that regulate sex are our emotions. Our emotions and our psychological influence play a role, as well as our desires to either procreate or not. So the last topic to look at is the effect that biological and sociocultural factors have on drugs. So there are various biological and psychosocial factors that can initiate a substance abuse in an individual. And one of these is our family history or genetic predisposition. If an individual has a family member or a history of mental disorder or drug abuse, then that individual has a higher chance of possibly also abusing a drug. Withdrawal effects also have a biological basis. Withdrawals and cravings. There are many biochemical factors that affect drug use, whether that's an imbalance in our brains. So drugs like heroin and marijuana can biologically mimic natural transmitters in our brains to activate our neurons. However, cocaine, another drug, causes the abnormal release of natural neurotransmitters such as dopamine. And you've probably heard of dopamine as being the happy drug. That's its nickname. So when dopamine floods our brain, it can overstimulate the region of the brain that controls our movement, emotion, cognition, motivation, and pleasure. So it's affecting our limbic system in our brain. And our limbic system is actually what activates or is activated when we use these drugs. So this is why we perceive many emotions, and it also explains the mood-altering properties that many drugs have. So when we take these drugs, we become in a state of euphoria. And the dictionary definition is total happiness. And if we continue to repeat the behavior of using a drug, then we eventually abuse the drug. And this is called the reinforcing effect, because we want to feel that happiness, we want to feel good. We're going to constantly stimulate our brains to reach that euphoric state by taking drugs. Now, there are many reasons you're probably aware of why people use drugs socioculturally. It could just be out of mere curiosity, or because the drug's a novelty. It could be to rebel socially. It could be because the user has poor control. It could be a way to manage stress and cope with it. It could also be because the person has a low self-esteem. And we talked about self-esteem as being one of Maslow's orders in his hierarchy of needs. So in order to fulfill that level of need, a person may use drugs. They may also use it to relieve themselves from fatigue, to just plain feel good. And the use of drugs has also been seen to be more prevalent in areas of higher poverty.